Emergency podcast alert. Spokane Chiefs Central Emergency Podcast.
It is a damn good day to be a Chiefs fan.
It's a really good day to be a Chiefs fan.
You know, I'm working today, and I just pulled over. I did a stop, and I looked at my phone and updated my Facebook, and I saw a tweet posted in one of the WHL groups from Cam Robinson, who's employee at the Elite Prospects website, and he said, "Hearing Andrew Cristall could be on his way to Spokane. Cristall and Berkeley catting together. That's a lot of juice." And I immediately went to the comment section. Nothing there because it was just posted. Sent the screenshot to you guys, and we were all like, "What?"
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, I gotta be honest. I didn't foresee the trade of this caliber coming.
Me either. I did not have it on my bingo card for sure. And for me, this is what I was thinking when we were talking today. Remember, I've discussed it on a previous podcast too, where I did not understand Wenatchee not wanting to go for it back then and trading away everything and to build for the future, I guess, and how I didn't understand that. And then the Chiefs today do something kind of almost like I would have wanted Wenatchee to do it too. You're really good right now. Why not go for it?
Yeah, and I think that next year is probably we're going to be even better next year
We will.
overall. And I think that, I mean, you never know what can happen. Hershey might send Cristall back down to Spokane next year, especially if we're on a good team going for a run.
Mm-hmm.
We have, if you think about it, right now we have 5 or 6 19-year-olds now. I think
I think about 5 of them. Yeah.
Edwards, Cristall, Cowan, Weinstein, and I'm missing one.
I'm drawing the blank on the other one. So I just saw that a little bit ago before we started the pod.
But anyway,
Yes.
I think that Edwards is probably not going to cut the rosters of 20. I think Cowan and Weinstein will probably be 2 of the mainstays unless they get pulled up to Weinstein gets pulled up to the Colorado AHL team, which he can play next year.
Yeah.
Keep a spot open for Cristall, maybe potentially. I mean, if you're going to be pushing for the top spot in the conference, you might as well.
Yeah. But at the same time, let's worry about that next year list.
I know. But that was like the only reason I brought that up is because that was kind of our main desire in getting a player for the next couple of seasons, not just this season. But, my argument against getting a guy like Cristall originally was, he's not going to be in the WHL next year. But then now, I'm thinking about it. It's like, there's a lot of guys that have played their 20-year-old seasons in the WHL that are, signed and drafted and have played in the AHL before, like Cristall has. And like Cody Glass is a good example.
Yeah.
Came back, played Sasha Mutala, Tri-Cities. I mean, there's a number of guys. It's not impossible.
No, it's just, yeah. It's not what I expected to see today for sure. I was hoping the Chiefs were going to do something. I mean, I guess you and I had our heart set on a puck-moving defenseman.
Yeah, but you made a good point to me on the phone earlier today about that
too.
I
said to you that with the young guys playing so well right now, with Shetler, Sather, you've got guys that are proving themselves already at 16 years old. Why not just continue to get them experience too? And they're not a liability out there at all. maybe there isn't a need to have that. I mean, I think we just had our hearts set on that for certain reasons. Yeah, maybe we were just thinking one dimensionally, I guess, and this did catch us both by surprise. But I'm very happy to see it. I'm looking forward to the idea of him and Catton out there on the power play together, whether on the first line together or not. You know, we talked about line combinations today that he could be on. He could fit on a second line with Rass.
Yeah.
Matt, we brought up the point. How about putting Harrington, Preston, and him on the same line too out there?
That would be great.
That would be crazy. But
yeah, what a crazy day. You know, yesterday there was a ton of trades in the WHL.
yes, there was.
Ton of huge names getting moved, pretty much all to the Central Division. But you know, today there was a handful of smaller moves in the morning, and then the big move today was Cristall to Spokane in exchange for Hayden Papanicus and 5 draft picks. You hate to see a guy like Papanicus go. A big body net front guy, really good hands, good with the puck, and he's got a really long reach. And I think that he's really gonna shine in Kelowna in the next couple of years, because Kelowna's, with getting the Memorial Cup next season, they're going all in on their quick little rebuild, and then they're gonna stack up next season.
Yes.
So you got to look at it from both sides. I think it was a pretty even deal.
It was with what Kelowna has coming in the future for sure. Because Cristall was not going to be there next year for them. So
right, yeah, and man, I got even more excited once the deal was like officially announced. I went and looked up Cristall's numbers on Elite Prospects.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how many points he has this year already.
He's over a 2-point a game guy.
26 goals, 34 assists for 60 points in 28 games.
Yeah.
Insane. I heard a great comparison today.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was saying in the comment section that Spokane hasn't seen a 1-2 punch like this since Falloon and Whitney.
Yeah.
And the idea of seeing Cristall, Catton, and Van Olm on the top line together, I mean, that's a combined almost 200 points already just this season, which is insane. And I think it's really going to boost our offensive production. That's for sure. I mean, we had solid offensive production as it is, and this is just going to make it even better.
Yeah. It's going to be run and gun. How are we going to win? Well, we have solid goaltending. We know that, but we're just going to score you. We're just going to go and score more goals than you.
And you know what? We were talking about the 2008 Memorial Cup team with Boiler a couple weeks ago when we had him on, and he was talking about how a lot of the young guys remind him of the young guys that we had coming in those seasons back then.
Yeah, he did.
And looking at the roster that we have now, I'm getting those kinds of vibes. Dustin Tokarski, Dawson Cowan, two just outstanding goalies.
Yep.
Brick walls back there, and then you have young and upcoming defensemen like Rhett Sather, Caden Allen, and then back then we had guys like Jared Cowan and I mean, that was Cowan's 16-year-old season when we made.
Yeah, he was a youngster.
Trevor Glass, I think he was 19, but just a lot of similar vibes, in all honesty. And I'm really looking forward. Jared Spurgeon was a youngin on that team.
And another comparison you can put between those teams and this year's teams? A very good coach.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Brad Lauer is winning as coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't even explain how crazy it is to think that last year we were as shitty as we were, and then to make the huge jump this year
in 1 year
to where we are now, which again kind of reminds me of those years back then. 06, 07, we were kind of a barely squeezed into the playoffs team, and then 07, 08 had 103 points or whatever and won the Memorial Cup. So it's I don't know. I'm not so superstitious person or anything too, but it's a little bit of a coincidence too. 17 years between Memorial Cups, and now here we are 17 years later again.
Crazy.
1990, 2008, or I guess that's 18 years, but it was the 07-08 season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. But you know, I think we got a good one in Crystal, and him and
Me
Catton are
too.
going to be really fun to watch the rest of the year. I made the comparison to you. It's kind of like Draisaitl and McDavid out there.
Yeah.
So
Very similar to that. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how quickly they start gelling.
yeah, definitely. Uh, you know, and my question to you is, do we want all that offensive firepower on one line, or do we want to spread it out a little bit?
That's the Draisaitl McDavid dilemma too. I mean,
Right.
at times when it works, it's great. Other times it doesn't work, you split them up. I can. We've seen that Lauer's not afraid to mix up lines once in a while and stuff too. I don't know.
Right.
I think obviously you're going to see him on the same power play line. I'm sure,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
but I
And
don't know.
I was
It'll be
thinking about it. I was thinking about it, talking about the power play. We were talking all year about how we want to have a different guy up at the blue line quarterback in the power play. Now you have Berkeley Catton and Andrew Cristall back there. They are more than capable of doing that. Doesn't have to necessarily be a defenseman. A little bit more responsibility with the puck, obviously, but these are
Mm-hmm.
two highly skilled guys, both signed by NHL teams and have just an uncanny scoring ability. So I think that things are really starting to look up for the boys right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
it's. We were just talking before we started the pod too, how quickly our view changed as fans, obviously, because we were talking about how much we hate playing against Cristall.
mhm.
And now that he's on our team, it's kind of like everybody always said, no comparison between the players at all, but everybody always says, oh, you would love Brad Marchand if he was on your team. And I'm always like, no, I wouldn't. I hate that guy.
Yep.
Kind of the way we felt about this. And now that he's a Chief, I'm a fan.
Well, it's the same thing back in the early 2010s when the Chiefs traded for Kyle Beach in his 20-year-old
Yes.
season.
How much did we hate that guy?
I mean, that dude was such a goon when he was with Everett, but he
Oh, yeah.
still he's still scoring 40 goals a season, and then he comes to Spokane, puts up 200 plus penalty minutes in the season, and scores 50 goals. I mean, it's just and we loved him. We loved having him,
Yeah.
obviously.
We loved to see him the year before, and Chris Bruton dropped him, and then we loved him when they played together.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be really fun to watch him. I mean, he's the Kelowna Rockets' second all-time leading scorer in their franchise history.
Yeah.
So
What's that?
that tells you a lot right there.
Yeah.
His last season he had 40 goals and 71 assists in 62 games. And another thing not to look over is he has playoff experience with the Rockets too.
Exactly. I mean, you got to figure with him, leadership's coming too.
Absolutely. He's been wearing an A since his 17-year-old season too for Kelowna.
Exactly.
So I think that and you know what else is going to be really fun? Wednesday night, we're up in Kelowna. We play the Rockets up in Kelowna.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be a fun game. Be nice to see Poppy play
Yeah.
up there, but
Well, I'm hoping Poppy. I hope Kamloops. I'm hoping Kelowna does well in the Memorial Cup next year, and I'm hoping he gets a chance to shine.
yeah, me too. And that was the main thing that I was thinking. I feel bad reading all these things. Like people were talking about how he loved it here and loved playing here in front of the fans and everything. But then I was thinking like, yeah, but he gets a chance to play in the Memorial
What
Cup
an
next year.
opportunity! Exactly.
As an 18-year-old next season, he's going to
Yeah.
get drafted this year.
Yes, he is.
Again, a great opportunity for him, and it's going to be a good chance for him to kind of show his skills and advance his own game. And
Yeah, and he could end up becoming a pretty, I don't want to say all-star, but a standout on that team the rest of this season for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Kelowna's traded a handful of their very, very, very good guys. They've traded Cristall, they've traded Caden Price, a couple other lower guys in the lineup. There's rumors right now of Jakob Stansel being traded to Calgary as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelowna's pretty much in full rebuild for the rest of this season, looking to build into their team for next year. And they've added a lot of pieces from these deals, not just draft pick wise, but players to play rest of this season and beyond. So I think Kelowna is going to be a team that you're not really going to want to mess with the next few seasons either.
No, I agree.
I think it's going to be pretty fun to watch here.
Be interesting to see what they do with the draft picks that they got from us, whether they use them to get something more next year or if they, I mean, who knows? They have a lot of assets to deal with now.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, their general manager definitely knows what he's doing up there too. He's been up there for quite a while, and Cologne has always been a pretty consistent team in the league too,
Yeah.
competitiveness wise. So yeah, I thought the Spokane trade aside, I thought we might hop on and do a little trade deadline
Yeah.
episode and kind of recap all the trades that have happened so far. Obviously, we're recording this on a Wednesday night. Trade deadline, I think, is noon Pacific time, the 9th tomorrow. So obviously there still could be some more deals that happen in the next, 12 hours, 12 and a half hour or 15 hours or so. But a lot of little moves here and there. The Central Division is really stacking up right now.
Yeah.
Calgary, Lethbridge,
Calgary, especially.
Saskatoon's going kind of what Wenatchee did the last a
Mm-hmm.
couple years ago, where they sold off their good guys, even though they're a top team because they needed draft picks
Yeah.
and they needed to boost their draft capital again. They traded Tanner Mollendijk and God, who was the other big name they traded? Somebody else too. I think it was to PG, but I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But they got a pretty big haul for Mollendijk, and
As they should have.
yeah, for sure. And now Mollendijk's going to get a chance to play on a competitive team this year,
Yeah.
and potentially make a deep playoff run. Um, yeah, so I guess we can kind of just go, what's most recent to whatever and kind of name off some of the deals and kind of
Yeah.
give our thoughts on some of these. Some of them are involve US division teams. A lot of them are just East and Central though. But the newest one a couple hours ago was Medicine Hat trading for the rights to a 2007 born goalie Cruz Chase, currently
I saw
playing in
that.
in the AJHL. 8-2-2 record, pretty good in exchange for an 8th round pick in 2028 to Regina. Kelowna had another trade this afternoon after the Cristall trade too. They traded 18-year-old defenseman Landon Cowper to Everett in exchange for a 7th rounder in 26.
Not Everett got another defenseman.
You know, that's what we were talking about. Is the Chiefs? We felt like they should get a defenseman, but I feel like every other team is picking up these D men.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, maybe our strategy is going to be we'll just outscore you.
Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. I can't. Everett's D is so good, and they have so many guys that are like top 5, 8 in points for defensemen too already, and now they add another one. Holy cow!
I'm a little bit surprised that Everett hasn't done more trading wise with the team that they have this year and how good they are this year.
But honestly, yeah, if you're number one, why?
Yeah, that's true.
Why?
That's true.
Any chemistry that you have is, and it's worked for the first half of the year. It's not like it's just the last half dozen games or something like that. It's worked all year long since the season started.
Yeah, very true. I just think that all the other teams are kind of going all in on these deals and stuff too, and I've seen a lot of Everett fans, kind of being like, "All right, so what's going to happen? Like, are we going to do anything?" Kind of like what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so, but obviously, we still got 15 hours or whatever till the deadline. So, and something could happen. Prince George finally did something today too, picked up a pretty big name, but yeah, so now we got obviously the Andrew Cristall to Spokane trade in exchange for Hayden Papanicus, a 1st rounder in 25, 1st rounder in 27, 2nd rounder 26, and a 3rd in 25, and a 6th rounder in 26. So a pretty big haul.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're giving up a lot to kind of make this happen, but I think it benefits both teams. It benefits Spokane now and potentially next year, and it benefits Kelowna for their Memorial Cup run next year
Mm-hmm.
and beyond that.
Beyond. Yeah.
With all the draft picks. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got a handful of 1st rounders for some of the players that they've traded. So, Kelowna picked up 17-year-old Hayden Papanicus. Cristall is on pace for his second straight 100 plus point season.
Isn't that crazy?
So having, it's kind of, Roulette had a pretty damn good season last year with Catton, but I feel like, with Ulmer and you got Catton and now you have Cristall up front. Again, right as of right now, that's 200 points combined between those
That's
three
crazy.
players right now. So I think this is going to be so fun to
No,
watch.
yeah.
And we were talking about it earlier. You asked me, have we ever, made like a huge name trade like this? I don't think we have.
I
Like
not in my recollection at all.
not that I can think of off the top of my head, like even back in the Memorial Cup in 07-08, I think a couple of the guys that we got like mid-season were just like, David Rutherford and
Yeah.
just a couple of just hustle guys and stuff too. Didn't get anybody crazy who made it happen. But yeah, I again pleasantly surprised, I think,
Mm-hmm.
that the Chiefs, made a move like this. I think why the hell not if you got the team that you do now that's second in the entire Western Hockey League.
Exactly.
So yeah, this was the other trade that Saskatoon had today. Traded forward Ben Ritchie to Prince George in exchange
I saw
for
that one.
Hunter Lang, Luke Dumas, first rounder in 26 and a fifth in 28. So that's, Saskatoon, one of the top teams in the East. But again, similar to the Wenatchee situation a few years back, they kind of got to rebuild their draft capital a little bit. So they're making these moves now, which, it sucks that you have to do that when your team is still good, but sometimes it's just kind of what you got to do to protect the future of your franchise.
Yeah. Not every Portland Winterhawk team that's just good every year.
Ain't that the truth, Mike Johnson, you cheater?
Yeah. Cell phones,
No.
plane tickets, baby.
Yeah.
No, go with Team Canada too, by the way.
I think he might have been the downfall of that
He
team.
could have been. We're gonna say that he was.
It's just his aura that kind of took the team down.
Yeah, we're gonna say it was.
And now that we're talking about
Mike.
Now we're talking about Canada a little bit. The one thing that I want to say that kind of combines the Team Canada and the Chiefs deal today, I feel like Andrew Cristall might be playing with a little bit of fire on his back the rest of the season because he did not get selected for that team, and he damn well should have.
That's ridiculous.
So that's another thing that I think could make this trade even better for Chiefs fans. Kamloops acquiring forward Bo Courtney, 20-year-old from Everett in exchange for a seventh rounder. So the fact that Everett is moving a 20 makes me think that they're trying to cook something up for a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
That was kind of my main takeaway from that.
I didn't think about that.
Bo Courtney's a guy that's been around Everett for a couple of years now, and now that he's in his 20-year-old season, Everett's looking to kind of boost their forward group a little bit more, probably boost their top six. And he's only got 5 goals and 4 assists in 31 games this season. So that's a guy that, Kamloops, who just released Leighton Feist, put him on waivers. So they had an overage spot open. And so they took Bo Courtney, a leader guy that can kind of, lead the young guys in Kamloops again the next couple of seasons. I heard John Keane said a lot of good things about him after that trade was announced. So
nice.
So I think that'll be good for Kamloops. Here's the other pretty big trade that happened yesterday that I feel like a lot of fans weren't really expecting and came out of nowhere between Brandon and Tri-Cities.
Yeah, that was an odd one.
I was a little bit surprised by this one as well. Brandon Wheat Kings acquire forward Jordan Gavin and Merrick Arpin from Tri-Cities in exchange for defenseman Charlie Ellick and a third-round pick in 26.
Yeah.
So Jordan Gavin was the guy that was taken right after Berkeley Catton in the 2021 draft. They were teammates on a couple of different teams, Catton and Gavin growing up and stuff too, playing. Yeah, I guess they were like a pretty dynamic duo out there. And so yeah, it's Tri-City obviously looking to boost their back end a little bit with Charlie Ellick, who's a prospect of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Unfortunately, got to give up a guy to get a guy like that. You got to give up a guy like Jordan Gavin, who's been a pretty consistent guy for your team. He's just a year younger than Ellick. He's eligible to be drafted this year, I believe. And then Merrick Arpin, defenseman. So Tri-City still making some moves here and there too. Some of the other teams in the West are still trying to build their roster towards a playoff run this year too. So, Tri-Cities, even as they're slowly starting to fall off, maybe they're trying to kind of pick back up where they were
I was
about a
going to
month ago.
say, I just wonder what's going to happen with them the rest of the year, if they're going to get hot again, or if they're going to falter, or they're just going to kind of maintain and everything too. It'll be interesting to see, because they're definitely a fall off.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and this Charlie Elliott guy, they're gonna have a really just a bruiser back end with,
Yeah,
they have what's his name? Tyrell Goldsmith back there, just big, mean bruiser defenseman, and now Charlie Elliott as well. He's 6'4", 203 pounds. So I mean, he's a big boy too. So I think with having their Jackson Smith back there, who's projected to be a top pick in the draft in a few years, or maybe it's even this year, but have a guy to kind of protect him a little bit out there. And so I Tri-Cities could be a little bit scary. I think we're the rest of the season we're going to be playing Tri-Cities. We got to have a guy like Cam Parr or a Matt Edwards in the lineup at all
yeah,
times. But yeah, that one kind of caught me a little bit by surprise because I know
yeah. I
they
did
were.
not expect to see anybody big from Tri-Cities go anywhere. Getting rid of Gavin is going to hurt them offensively for sure.
I think so too, and yeah, again, a little bit surprised by that, but and then Wenatchee kind of selling again too.
That was odd too.
They sold those two guys last year, got a haul of players and picks back from Swift Current
Yeah,
and wherever the other guy went, but still they're still making moves. They traded Daniel Hauser last week to Victoria, and then, or Kenta Isekai to Victoria and Daniel Hauser to Calgary. Um, and then they made a couple of deals for a fifth round pick in 2027 in exchange for forward Ashton Brown. And then Regina acquires a fourth rounder and a sixth rounder from Lethbridge in exchange for forward Anthony Wilson, who's 7 goals and 4 assists on the season. Regina stocks up with their fourth round pick in 2026 draft from Victoria. So, and then Wenatchee and Vancouver swapping 20-year-olds one for one.
that I didn't. I mean, there's obviously a reason for it, but I was wondering what that was all about too. I saw that.
Yeah, I am curious to know, what the reasoning for that would be, but
And we never hear about things unless it happens to be somebody with the Chiefs, that's with the Billet family that we talk to or something too. Sometimes somebody's homesick, they wanted to go to us. There's things like that that happen too, and organizations do their best to accommodate the players in that regard.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
But reading the little article underneath that move, Maxim Mironov, who was acquired from Calgary in the Daniel Hauser deal, was just recently acquired by Wenatchee, was then traded to Vancouver without suiting up for Wenatchee at all. So it almost makes me think that was kind of a plan between Vancouver's GM and Wenatchee's GM Bliss Littler.
like a three-way trade.
Yeah, kind of like a three-way deal, just a little bit delayed.
Yeah,
So there's that. I think that, Vancouver's kind of not really making it too much noise trade
no, but
wise,
they're solid.
but they're making these little moves here and there that I think are going to keep them consistent for the rest of the year. We know
Yeah.
they have a great coach.
I was just going to say, and that coach is probably in his mind doing exactly what he wants to do.
Manny Vivros is very, very smart, and he's a
Yeah,
good coach, as we saw when he was in Spokane for that one
yes,
season. And uh, so yeah, probably all part of the plan there. I guess I didn't realize that he was part of that Daniel Hauser trade. Didn't even suit up for him. But Wenatchee acquires Tyson Zimmer in return, who's another 20-year-old, 6 foot, 192 pound centerman, 10 goals and 15 assists in 35 games this season with
nice.
Vancouver. So
Donnie
Wenat,
Knox building his team he wants,
yeah, definitely Wenatchee, and then the next night after
and then
they
they throw up a
traded
10 spot against Try.
10-2, that's just insane, man.
Now I know why Tri Cities went to get a defenseman.
No, that's a good point. Let's see. So then before that, there was trade between Kelowna and Swift Current. Swift Current acquires Merrick Rosak from Kelowna in exchange for forward Dawson Gerwing and a fourth round pick. So, 2006 born forward, for going back to Kelowna, another guy that's going to help them in their Memorial Cup run next year.
Hmm.
So that's an age move, and then you get an additional fourth rounder out of it. So not only is Kelowna stacking up their roster with current players for the next few seasons, but they have a absolute haul of draft picks from these trades that they've made.
Yeah.
Um, Alexei Chichkin from Regina sent to Prince George in exchange for a fourth rounder in 2027. 6'5", 218-pound defenseman.
Holy cow.
Another guy that I think would have fit in well on this Chiefs team.
Wow.
I saw that Wenatchee, or not Wenatchee, Prince George is looking to boost their back end a little bit too. I mean, they still have all the offensive
Right.
firepower with Tarek Parasak and Riley Height and those guys, and uh, yeah, I mean, Regina's just continuing to stock their draft cupboards up with getting another fourth rounder. Their team really kind of fell apart this year, losing Tanner Howe and the Vaughn
Yeah.
brothers and all these guys. They're still trading all these guys out. And you have a couple of guys that decided to leave to go back home for personal reasons. You don't know if that's anything to do with, the team or
Right.
whatever, but uh Regina's just fell apart in front of our eyes this year for
Yeah.
whatever reason. After I felt like after Bedard left Regina and went to Chicago, they were slowly just falling apart
They
completely.
were.
um so it's good that they're getting this haul of draft picks back, and they're going to be another team in the East that's going to be kind of a force to be reckoned with in the next 5 or so years.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. I apologize if I butcher any of these names, by the way, because we we
Thank God
don't
they're not French names, but yes.
we follow the WHL, but we definitely follow the Western Conference a lot
Yes.
more than the East. So
Yeah.
a lot of these players I'm not quite sure how to pronounce, but I'm doing my best.
You're doing
Uh,
good.
Trade between Moose Jaw and PA. Rylan Kovacevic acquired by Prince Albert in exchange for Christoph Macias and Luke Mraz and a fourth round pick. So a couple players and a pick going to Moose Jaw in exchange for one of their 20-year-olds. 2024 WHL champion. So that's good for PA kind of acquiring another guy. They're one of those cusp teams. I think they're like 8 points out of first place, and they're in third in the East right now. So another guy that has the playoff experience, is a champion, and can kind of keep Prince Albert pushing the top of the standings in the East.
Yeah.
Um, a goalie swap between Vancouver and Moose Jaw as well.
That was a recent one after the Cristall trade, I think, today, too. I
No,
saw.
this was a couple of days
Or
ago.
was it? Because there was a goalie for goalie trade thought I saw like 3 or 4 hours ago, too.
Let me see. Did I
But I
skip?
don't remember who it was.
I might have skipped one. Let me see here. Oh, Rhett Ravendall. No, Bo Courtney. I could have sworn. Oh, you're right. It wasn't a goalie for goalie, but it was a Taylor Tabashniak traded to
Yes.
Regina in exchange for a seventh rounder in 2028 to Red Deer.
Okay.
There's that one.
I thought what I saw was him for another goalie.
He was called up in an emergency basis to make two starts for Red Deer in the playoffs last year.
Hmm.
But yeah, I did skip over one, so I'm glad you brought that up. The goalie for goalie trade between Vancouver and Moose Jaw. Moose Jaw acquires goaltender Matthew Hutchison, who's been with the Giants for quite a while. Remember,
Yes.
he played in a couple of games when he was 15 for the Giants.
Yeah. He's kind of been there, freed more.
Mm-hmm. Matthew Hutchison and a fourth rounder in 25 and a seventh in 28. Font so small in these damn pictures on the article that I'm on that I can't see. In exchange for a 2005 born goaltender Brady Smith. So again, Vancouver just making these subtle little moves here and there,
Mm-hmm.
getting some veteran guys that can, help, whether it's to make a run this year or kind of grow their team for the next few seasons as well. I think having a veteran goalie is definitely going to help that.
Manny, you sly little devil.
We know what you're doing, Manny. We know what you're all about. Remember that COVID year when we
Yeah,
trade. I mean, we got a handful of those like depth guys that
those
ended
role
up
players. Yeah,
contributing.
we did.
Leaf Matson.
Yep.
That was a big one after Jake McGrew went down early in the season and
Yeah.
was unfortunately done for the year.
Yeah. Buckled.
Yeah. Damn it. Um, that one's for you, Brandon.
Yes, it was.
A big trade on Monday. First trade Monday morning. Lethbridge, again, another one of those teams in the Central that are really trying to stack their roster for a run,
Yep.
coached by none other than Mr. Bill Peters.
Another Chiefs guy.
Lethbridge acquires,
He's got himself a good team up there.
yeah, they've really kind of just thrown themselves into the They pretty much bought their way into the mix and just really paying off for them.
Yeah.
Lethbridge acquires stud World Junior defenseman Caden Price from the Kelowna Rockets in exchange for defenseman Will Sharp, goaltender Harrison Bodiger, but again, not good with names.
You're good.
Bodiger, first rounder in 2026, conditional fourth round pick in 2025, and fourth rounder in 26, a fifth in 25, and a fifth in 27. So
Wow.
5 picks and 2 players going to Kelowna in exchange for Caden Price. Again, got to
Yeah.
reiterate it again. How about these draft?
After tomorrow, I want to look and see the list of draft picks they have in the future.
It's
Holy cow.
it's got to look like us last couple of,
Yes.
last year, 2 years
Yes.
ago. We had those picks because Bardsley was rebuilding the team. And those picks are going to go towards guys in the WHL next season
Yes.
to come and play in the Memorial Cup for Kelowna. There's no doubt about it.
Exactly.
They have so many first rounders. I think they have 3 first round picks in 2026.
That's
So that
bargaining chip stuff right there.
that alone is enough to get, a pretty big name.
Who do you want? Just tell me who you want, and we'll take the 3 pick. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So that's a huge one.
Wow.
Another big trade that happened on Monday. Medicine Hat, another one of those teams in the Central they're building. They already have Gavin McKenna, who's going to be the top overall pick in the draft next season.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have that Caden Lindstrom, who's got drafted 4th overall by Columbus last year, who's rehabbing an injury in Columbus, has been there pretty much all season, but they're still projecting him to be back around mid-February. So that's going to be another dangerous team to watch out for in the East.
Yeah.
And just gets even more dangerous because they acquired defenseman Tanner Molendyke from the Saskatoon Blades, along with Misha Volotovsky, in exchange for forward Hayden Harsani, Jack Kachowski, and a first rounder, second rounder, third rounder, fourth rounder, and fifth rounder between 2025 and 2026. Wow. So again, 5 picks, 2 players in exchange for Molendyke, and then another 05 forward in Misha Volotovsky.
Wow.
I feel like, a long time ago we were looking at the trades in like the OHL and the Quebec League and seeing just the absurd amount of draft picks.
That was I remember
that go for one player.
And we thought it was crazy.
And we thought it was insane. And now I feel like everybody in the WHL is doing that.
It's the new trend. Yeah.
It is. And I like it to an extent. It's crazy from a fan standpoint.
It's exciting as a fan, for sure. It's kind of like opening a pack of trading cards.
Right, exactly.
It is. What are you going to get?
Which I did happen to do last week. I
heard that.
Ordered a box of CHL Upper Deck hockey cards for the 23-24 season. Pulled a Gavin McKenna rookie card.
Nice.
And a Mathis Preston rookie card.
Oh, very nice.
So we got a couple of cool cards in there. I thought that was pretty fun. Saskatoon acquires forward Kazdan Matthews, an 07 born from Seattle, in exchange for a 5th rounder. Seattle's another one of those teams in the West that are starting their rebuild again after their big run a couple of years ago. They pawned off Sawyer Minio, and a lot of rumors that Scott Ratzlaff is going to be going somewhere as well. Mm-hmm. That's another guy that has playoff and World Junior experience.
Yeah, exactly.
That can be very beneficial for some teams making a run this year, because obviously Seattle won't be making that kind of a run. PA acquires defenseman Lyndon Beret in exchange for a 6th round pick to Seattle. Once again, Seattle trading the farm. Carson Burney from Red Deer, acquired by the Calgary Hitmen, a forward 2005 for Parker McDougal, Ethan Dundas, a third rounder and a fifth rounder. And yeah, the big trade, and I will do want to say we were talking about the Sawyer Mineo trade on our last show a couple of days
Yes.
ago. Sawyer Mays is not Nathan Mays' brother. I was corrected on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Um, apparently it was just a crazy coincidence that they're from the same town and played on the same teams growing up.
Hmm.
Apparently it's just a complete coincidence, no relation at all.
Wow.
So Calgary acquires Sawyer Mineo from Seattle in exchange for Sawyer Mays, Lyndon Beret, two first rounders, a fourth, and two first rounders and two fourth rounders.
Hmm.
So pretty big haul there for Sawyer Mineo, and that was the last trade that was kind of on the trade deadline blog on the WHL as of now. But I'm gonna
Okay.
go to John Keene's Twitter really quick and see if there's anything new
I just want to go
since.
back and make a comment too about Lethbridge.
Yeah.
Regardless of what kind of music he allows in the locker room, Bill Peters is a hell of a coach.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. It's a guy that was behind the bench in the NHL for a number of years too, and
Yes.
was with the Chiefs for those couple seasons and completely turned our franchise around from the bottom of the barrel team that we
I don't
were.
think it was just a strange coincidence that when Tyler Johnson had his jersey retired here in Spokane, he asked Bill Peters to come back.
Yeah, I think that kind of said a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and it was cool to see that, everybody's kind of on board with him still being around as a coach and everything too. And
Yes.
obviously times are a little bit different now than they were back when he was coaching
Hmm.
in the WHL before. And yeah, Boiler was talking about him a lot when we had him on the show too, and
Yes.
talked about how fun he was, just a fun guy to be around, playing
Yeah.
cards on the bus and all that stuff too, and just how good he was with the players too. I think that's a guy that definitely deserves this chance up in Lethbridge. And honestly, I think Lethbridge has a pretty damn good chance to make a run this year.
Me too. Yeah. No.
So yeah, nothing new. There's some rumors that Harrison Brunicky and Emmett Finney are going to be moved out of Kamloops. Could get a pretty good haul for those players too. But I know Brunicky is hurt right now, so that could kind of deter some teams. A lot of fans are saying Everett better do something. So we still got a couple hours left until the deadline here. Callan Lind potentially going to another East Division team. These are all just kind of rumors that I'm reading in the comments. Who knows if there's any
Are
credibility to them or
Everett
not?
fans
But
nervous about Spokane now?
I haven't seen too much about it. But you know what? I would be. I would be. And John Keane posted after the trade, or actually it was before the trade was officially announced today. He made a nice tweet that said, "Don't sleep on Spokane."
Yeah.
He said that that's saw them twice this past weekend. They're the real deal, and that was without Catton.
Hmm.
And so now we're gonna have Catton back going into Everett this weekend, and the addition of Andrew Cristall.
Yeah.
So I think Everett should be scared, quite
Yeah.
frankly. Yeah, I think all teams in the West should be
I
scared.
think we just got everybody's attention for sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the fan reaction to the trades a little bit,
Okay.
the trade today. You've seen any of the comments on like, the official posts
I
and
have a little bit. Yeah. They're kind of split 50-50
yeah,
between people not wanting to lose Poppy and about how good Cristall is coming in. And yeah, and you can see both sides of it.
yeah, I can too. And it's something that I feel like you see with a lot of fans that don't necessarily completely understand the cycle of junior hockey.
Yes.
I think that some team or some fans fall in love with the players, hypothetical, and
Yes.
obviously you hate to see anybody move for a guy that's been on your team for a few seasons now.
Yeah. They're
But yeah, and you got to remember that they're kids too, but this is the kind of stuff that happens in this league.
yeah.
And if you have a good team, you have such a small window when your team is typically really good. So
Hmm.
when you have that, you need to capitalize on it and take advantage of it while you have it in order to make a run in the postseason.
Hmm.
It's not something that you could just kind of hope that these guys develop into these players that types of players that you will be trading for to make that run.
Right.
And I feel like still, obviously there's a lot of fans that don't understand that. There's a lot of fans that don't go to every game and don't watch, intently every game and everything too. So I again, like you said, I see both sides, but I saw a lot of people that were really stoked about it too.
Hmm.
And there was a couple of comments that pretty much put it into perspective exactly how it went in my mind. Because I commented on the original post that I had made with the rumored trade, and I was a little bit taken back by how many people were like unhappy with it.
Yeah.
And I said, "Am I the only one that's okay with the deal? Because it looks like we're going for it this year and still have all the talent to go next year too. Why not do it?"
Yeah.
And a guy named Joe Fisher made a really, really good comment that I thought sums it up perfectly. He says, as a season ticket holder for the past few seasons and seeing some really, really bad moments, I'm all in for this move and really hope it pays off in May and June.
There you go.
Perfectly said.
Yep.
Um, I again, s- Chiefs haven't been competitive in a couple of years, so I
Yep.
think in this small window that we have right now in the next 2, 3, 4 seasons, we got to go for it.
Yeah.
With, with
Exactly.
with the talent that we have to go for it.
Talent, new management, new coach. Yes.
You think back to a few years ago when we traded, we were a tough team and a tough team to watch, I should say. We had those trades like Graham Sword to Winnipeg, Mason
Hmm.
Beaupit to Winnipeg. Look at the haul that we got back in
Yes.
that and getting, Dawson Cowan, part of that Mason Beaupit trade,
Hmm.
first rounder. We got like 3 or 4 draft picks in that deal. Those went to Kelowna today to get
Hmm.
Andrew Cristall.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
again, it's a cycle. It's a small window
Yeah.
that you gotta do it when you have it. And the reason that we traded those guys those couple years ago was to make deals like this when we
Hmm.
were good.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I think Matt Bardsley has done a absolutely
He's done a
fantastic
fantastic.
job.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. And I will be. I'll tell you that I missed Bo Pitt. I didn't want to lose Bo Pitt when we lost him,
Yeah.
but look at where, like you said, look where we're at now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I won't say who it came from, but I had somebody message me today that said that they knew that this trade was happening last week, and they were still undecided. And if there was 2 players that was going to go the other way, it was either Papanicus or Chase Harrington.
Hmm.
And I said, I really like both of those players, but I'm
Hmm.
really glad we didn't trade Harrington.
Yeah. Me too.
I think he's gelling with the line that he's on right now, and he's gelling with the team, and the chemistry is built.
Hmm.
And I think that's a guy that's going to be
In the future, for sure.
a contributor
Yeah.
a couple years down the road still too. And not
Yeah.
to say that Papanicus wouldn't be, because I think he's going to be for Kelowna, but you
Yes.
had to give up one of the two 17-year-olds to get a guy at the caliber of Andrew Cristall.
Oh, exactly.
So yeah, again, Matt Bardsley, great job, and we got 16 hours now until the WHL trade deadline. So we'll have to see if the Chiefs end up doing anything more. I mean, you never know. We were caught off guard by this one. We might be caught off guard by something else tomorrow.
Who
You
knows?
never know.
By the time
Um,
it's posted, we'll probably know.
we'll see if there's any other big trades that goes on in the next 16 hours, and we can kind of recap those on our episode on Monday.
Yeah.
And we got a couple big games coming up this weekend against
Yeah.
the Everett Silvertips and the Wenatchee Wild before heading back up to Kelowna
There you go.
on Wednesday. So,
That's fun.
so yeah, this was fun. I think we should do this every trade deadline.
I think it was a good idea.
I like it. I like doing it. So,
Likewise.
all right. And I guess until next time.
Wow. Big
Crazy
day.
day. Crazy
Big
day. Do
day.
you have any other final thoughts?
Just a big day. I mean, I've followed them since the first year they were in existence when Dan Holden played with them. Um, I don't remember us ever making a trade for a player of this caliber. It's kind of a big deal.
It is. And I think that, seeing that comparison, obviously it was way before my time, but seeing that comparison to Falloon and Whitney
Yeah.
gets me really excited.
Those guys were fun to watch.
Yeah, it gets me really excited to potentially see a modern day combination. The comparison I made to you was McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah,
I think this is just going to be so fun to watch, and I really hope it pays off.
yeah, me too.
So, yeah, big games this weekend, and we'll recap things on Monday.
Sounds good.
All right, go Chiefs, go.
Chiefs go.